tell them check out the blog, bro. YouTube channel called MKO. It's pugilism, boxing algorithm. M stand for Marvin and Kevin's initials KO. Yeah. Yes, ladies and gents, welcome to the MKO Pugilism Boxing channel. We're talking all things boxing. And right about now, remember to like, remember to subscribe to the channel. More content will be coming your way shortly. And right now, we're just going to speak about another fight on the that took place in the Matchroom Square Gardens, Matchroom's Fight Camp Week 3. And this was a very interesting fight between Zelfa, the Brown Flash Barrett, and Eric Donovan from Ireland. And yeah, it was an interesting one because going into it, Eric Donovan, to myself and a lot of other people, is a bit of an unknown quantity. He's a guy that had a very good amateur career, boxed, and I think his team, I forget, won the WSB, so he done very well in the WSB, which is like it's still amateur boxing, but you box with no vest and no head guard, so it's almost like semi-pro boxing. You're boxing the best from all different countries around the world, so he done very well in that competition and other competitions internationally as an Irish amateur. So he's a guy that definitely had pedigree coming in, but obviously as an undefeated pro, we hadn't seen sort of all of what he can do, as yet. So again, Zelfa Barrett is another guy who didn't have quite the amateur pedigree like Donovan, but he was a decent pro from what I'd seen. I think he'd only taken the one loss, and yeah, he's a guy that I think recently had been sort of under the radar. I haven't heard too much about him, but he's a guy that I've seen box several times, and he's one that definitely has a lot of potential and a lot of room for growth. So yeah, so going into this one, it was an interesting one put together because you got one guy, former elite amateur, another guy who's done a bit more as a pro, and they're meeting. And yeah, as this fight started, basically we had, I would say, up until the sort of midway stage, it was pretty much Eric Donovan sort of outworking, and outmaneuvering Zelfa Barrett throughout most of this fight. I'd say Eric Donovan was pretty much having things sort of his way, and he basically boxes from sort of awkward angles as a southpaw. He was landing quite a lot of shots on Zelfa Barrett. Barrett didn't look hurt at any point really. It was pretty much just, it was just being sort of outworked for the majority of this fight. Eric Donovan was sort of, I would say, taking home the majority of the rounds, and it was just basically based on him being able to come at this from awkward angles and just throwing more and landing more. That was pretty much it. And Donovan was sort of outboxing and outdoing Zelfa Barrett for a lot of this fight. But then, at a certain point in the fight, I think it was around round 7 or 8, we had Zelfa Barrett sort of was able to just land that beautiful shot, land some shots on Donovan, and he was able to hurt him. And once sort of Zelfa Barrett, although he was losing several rounds, once he sort of caught up to Donovan, once he timed him beautifully with some of these shots, right hands and left hooks, once he sort of got to him, in those sort of later rounds towards the stoppage, he stopped him with a beautiful left hook, nice left hook to the head, and that pretty much separated Donovan from his senses there. It kind of threw all his hard work out of the window. And yeah, it was one of them fights where kind of a fight of two halves, because you had the first half of the fight where you're watching it, you can see that, all right, Donovan's the one swatting him up, landing the shots, landing consistently, and Donovan's a kind of difficult guy to look good against because he throws so many punches and he works so hard, and he sort of outworks you. So you've got to find some way of got to have sort of an equalizer, and you know, thankfully for Barrett, he just found that equalizer in the left hook and ended the fight. And yeah, it was definitely an interesting one. It was a good, I would say, it will serve both men quite well. It was, you know, for Donovan, I'd say it's no real disgrace to lose like that. You know, he tried his best, and you know, he just got hit with a fantastic left hook, and you know, it would have put a lot of guys away. And I suppose for Zelfa Barrett, this is the fight where, you know, he can go back to the drawing board. You know, look at sort of how to negate a southpaw like Eric Donovan. Look at how to sort of deal with a guy that fights at a hot pace, at a high tempo, and he's got to look at, you know, how to deal with that. He dealt with it beautifully in a way though, by, you know, just catching him, clapping him with that shot and putting him away. I mean, that's the best way to sort of deal with anybody. But yeah, I think both guys have got a few things to work on there. But again, very good victory for Zelfa Barrett. He showed that, you know, even though he was losing loads of rounds, you know, he showed that he's got the equalizer. You know, he didn't, you could see all the way through the fight, through his body language, that although he may have been losing rounds, he didn't let that bother him. He didn't let that discourage him. You know, he always fought positively, and he had that sort of, he still had that confidence about him throughout the whole fight. So yeah, congratulations to Zelfa Barrett on that victory. It's got to be, as some people are saying, you know, that's probably is one of the knockouts of the year so far, because it was a superb left hook that he took him out with. So yeah, we'll see what's next for both guys. Should be onwards and upwards for Zelfa Barrett now. And until next time, that's my force. It's MKO Pugilism over.